Number 9 of 22 money mistakes and money lessons that you need to know. Always trial things with new people. People say don't do business with friends and family. I think friends and family are the people you can actually trust the most. So on that premise, I disagree to an extent. But trial things with new people who you don't have existing relationships with. In fact, trial things in general. Let's say you want to start a podcast with somebody. Let's say you want to start a new business with somebody. Don't just say, hey, let's borrow money and make this big investment. You want to try and test it safely, where there's a safety net for you to back out of. A 6-month agreement perhaps could be. It's like, okay, if things don't work out, we have a 6-month agreement that we can both opt out. If it has a big upfront payment, it's like, oh, to start this new business, we need 10K, 20K. Be very wary. You probably don't. You probably can bootstrap it. You probably can start off with less and don't have to be more as expensive as that. Prove the concept and the relationship first before betting the empire to make a pot of gold. Before you bet the empire, vet it so you understand whether you're making a pot of gold. It's like, don't bet a lot to make a little is basically what that means. Trial things. Before I came on as a co-owner for the RTO, Registered Trade Organization, Orphic Education, the relationship built. I was first the teacher and the educator. I did a couple of intakes, and then I did sales and media and marketing. And then we talked about ownership. Trial things, and we learned that these people were reliable, great people that I could work with. Number 10, there's always a better deal. There's always a better deal. I know this because in owning Strength of Saad, I've realized that technically a better deal is, and what I've worked with my mentees and students, is always a better deal is with how much money you can charge and how much value you can deliver. If you can deliver more value, you can actually get a better deal, at least if the deal for you is money. And the client can also get a better deal by giving them more value. So you guys can get a better deal by coming to me with, hey, I'd love to see this. And it's like, all right, I'll see what I can do to deliver that. Now, the actual example for me for this is selling Orphic Education. When we sold that company for, it was I'm not going to say the number. I don't know if I can. But it was multi-six figure. Not high six figure. Not high six figure. Calm down. Just respectable. And when we did that, we did a market evaluation of the company. We got our company evaluated, and we had a prospect in mind who was interested in buying the business, and we negotiated. When we started high, and we kept negotiating until we got a favorable number that we wanted and they were okay with. And in hindsight, looking back, we definitely got a very good deal. A fair deal, but also a very good one with the market conditions, because it was the thing going on a few years ago. It was that thing going on. So it was a lot of uncertainties with gym closures, gym opens, etc. So there wasn't a lot of leads and things like that. But we built out the entire structure of the system for our Cert 3-4, which was very, very valuable for the people buying it. We negotiated well, and we got a better deal. So there's always a better deal. Don't just take no or yes for an answer. Be tenacious. See how you can offer more value. Start high in a negotiation. And a common thing in negotiations, or not common actually, a lot of people don't do it, is you start high and you only give a concession after you've really pushed it. Now, when you give a concession, meaning you drop down from your original position that you've really held strong on, it makes the other person feel like they have control and autonomy over the decision, and you're doing them a favor. Now, this is just human principles. This is a principle in the book Influence, and it's called reciprocal concession, the rejection then retreat strategy, to triple the chance someone says yes to you. So first, you make a larger request of a person they will most likely turn down, and after they refuse, offer a smaller request that you were originally interested in all along. provided you have structured the request skillfully, I should view your second request as a concession to me. I should feel inclined to respond with a concession of my own. E.g., a solicitor comes to your door and asks if you'd be willing to make a recurring donation to a charity, something we've all had happen. You decline, but then they follow up and ask you if you don't want to sign up for a $30 monthly donation, how about buying a $10 shirt that goes towards supporting the charity, or $1 coin donation? This shows an obligation to make a concession to somebody who has made a concession to us. This is the law of reciprocation. You are more likely to receive a yes response for a request after you've given something to someone. So yes, there is always a better deal. Number 11, reward loyalty. Trust and good relationships are worth more than money. I know this to be very true because many of you listening are clients of mine or former clients of mine. And whether it's unbeknownst to you in the past or even the present, you don't know my current prices. You don't know that I charge in USD now. Some of you don't know that actually the coaching that you're on is technically valued at $149 USD per week. And you might be like, what? Don't worry. I'm not going to suddenly jack up your prices. Some of you have paid and invested much less than that. And I've kept you on these prices for a number of reasons. And one of them being this, because I believe rewarding loyalty and the connection and relationship and a good relationship is worth it. And even though I wholeheartedly believe and know that I am worth what I charge and people will pay for it because I get exceptional results. And I also know that when people pay more, they're much more likely to be invested and do the work. Even though I know all of that, I have kept it where it is because of this. So I've basically sacrificed my own financial gain and the value of what I'm really worth for loyalty, relationships, and trust. I don't expect anything in return, but this is more of an intangible that I don't think everything is about money. People are the most important thing, and you can actually help more people by holding a concession with money or also making more money. You can help more people. So that's my 2 cents on loyalty. Number 12. The person who cares the least has the most leverage. I know some of these principles might feel divergent with their energy, but there's no particular sequence or order to them. But you need to understand that a lot of you are very desperate to make money, and a lot of you might come to me with a level of desperation. And you can, when you exude that, you attract that. Regardless of the outcome, you genuinely have to believe that you're going to be okay. Whether you're an entrepreneur trying to get another client, regardless of whether you get them, you have to accept that you'll be okay and there is a plan for you. The universe, God, whatever you believe in, there is a plan. And the more you trust and believe in that plan, the more comfort and security you get in the uncertainty of the future and the present. Now, when I say the person who cares the least has the most leverage, we see this in dating, even in relationships, in the psychology between dating and men and women in particular. You can see this play out. And so, speaking from the male perspective, as I am, you can imagine, for the females watching this, you can imagine if a guy comes up to you on the street, perhaps he already has, at a bar, whatever it may be, you can sense he really likes you, he's attracted to you, and he really wants to get your number or ask you out. And he's like, oh, you're not free on that day? What about this day? What about this day? What about this day? Oh, you sure? Can you? You can sense the level of just neediness from him. Now, that's transcended also within business, coaching, a raise. Boss, please give me a raise. Please. Please give me a raise. I deserve it. I've earned it. It's like, okay, if you don't want to give me a raise or give me this time off, okay, I'll find another job. When you say that, you have to believe that because there's a million jobs out there that you can get. have to be willing to walk away. If you're not willing to walk away, you don't have leverage. And so if I was to increase your prices, I have to accept and be willing to walk away and be like, okay, you have to be willing, I have to be accepting that you might be willing to walk away. No, I love you. I don't want you to walk away, and I hope you don't either, otherwise you wouldn't be here. So just understand that desperation, neediness, it's people can sense it. And the way you get over that is fully accepting your reality and that you will be okay. No one single client person relationship is going to be the thing for you. It's okay. But you need a plan. Because if I think it's okay that this client didn't sign up, or this prospect, or you think it's okay that, I don't need coaching anymore, I don't need a mentor, or this, it's like, it's okay. It's like, whoa. You're still struggling with XYZ. You still have these goals. What's your plan here? Because I need a plan. If I'm okay with this client not coming, I need to have a level of certainty that my lead acquisition strategies are going to be sufficient to get me to where I want to get to within my business. If you can be accepting, but you still need a plan of you go up to the girl or the guy on the street and they decline your offer to ask them on a date, right? Okay, well, are you done there? No, you need to keep going until you get a date. So you need to keep going until you find your solution. But just understand the level of desperation and neediness often repels people. Number 13, upgrading your lifestyle as you make more money. Frugality drives innovation. So the mistake is in the red, the green is in the benefit, is the lesson. Upgrading your lifestyle as you make more money. Some of you, if you saw my apartment, might seem, Alexander, you're contradicting yourself. And I would say you don't understand the situation. I would say you're missing a very important context and nuance. Because you could say moving to New York is a big upgrade in lifestyle. You'd be correct. The cost of living is dramatically more expensive. It would blow your mind. Woo! However, there's a difference between strategic, conscious, purposeful investment in your lifestyle and gluttony, superficialism, materialism, just staying on the rat race because you care about what people think, etc. Upgrading your lifestyle in the typical sense looks like more money, better car, more money, better car, more watch, more clothing, nicer clothing. Now instead of going to Zara, I now go to LV. Instead of going to LV, I go to Hermes, I get the Hermes bag, or I go, instead of getting the Toyota, now I was going to get a Mini Cooper, now I got a Mini Cooper, now I go to Lexus, Mercedes. You keep going, you see what I'm saying? Now, instead of living in Frankston, now I live in Mornington, now I live in Brighton. And it's like, I actually think living area is actually a bit of an exception, although I am biased to that, but I think living environment actually plays a large role because this is a large investment into my future, because the people I meet here in one of the wealthiest cities in the world it could be one of the best investments I make. I might meet the person that actually helps me do something massive in business or my life, right? So environment, I think, is an exception if it's purposeful and it's not done out of for the Joneses, like keeping up with the Joneses. Because, peer pressure from friends and family and culture, particularly like Indian, Asian culture, has a lot of that. It's like looking good for other people. So be mindful if you're doing it for that. And invest in a lifestyle upgrade if it has an ROI that is particularly valuable and conscious in its the way you're doing it. No one could tell me otherwise, that this is not a great investment. I wake up every day and I see the city and I say, Alhamdulillah, like I see the city. I'm like, I've worked so hard for this, more than, if I can respectfully say, more than pretty much every single, I'm going to say it, more than every single person watching this. Because if you were in this position, you probably wouldn't be watching this. So no one can tell me otherwise, because I've earned this with the sweat, blood and tears of my daily turmoil and work every single day for 16 hours a day. No parties, drinking, time off, days off. It's like, you know, and it's like, it's not bad. You shouldn't feel like I chose to do that. I wanted to do that. I'm living the life that I want to live. Now I'm questioning the whole thing as I'm here now. That's another story. And so I had a goal in mind and I wanted to achieve it, and I've achieved it. Okay. And I didn't constantly upgrade my lifestyle. When I moved out, I did the math. I'm like, this is actually an investment. And I realized it was an investment. I think moving out cost me about extra $15K a year. And I did that investment when I moved to Chadston, because I realized continuing to live in my family home in my early 20s was no longer ROI generating for the money I was saving. In fact, it was costing me in the way for the stress that I had to continue to endure, and the time and the distraction and etc. And that investment was massive for me, because in fact, when I moved out, whoosh, my money 10x'd, 5 to 10x'd, right? And so did my impact and my ability to help people. So they come hand to hand. And frugality, when you don't have a lot of money, it drives innovation. Because like I said before in the earlier video, if you don't have a lot of money, you can trade skills and time, which is innovative, to help gain knowledge. If I have knowledge or someone has knowledge that you want, trade your skills and time. I've offered this to people. Like, I will coach you for free. I have a massive skill set in being able to improve people's health, psychology, mindset, etc., internal health. Let me read your blood work. I'll read your blood work. I'll analyze it, get you on a certain regime that can help improve your energy levels, and you start seeing some results. And then you can see for yourself whether I'm worth the investment. Let me show you first. Now, you all are developing or have your own version of that. So frugality drives innovation. When you don't have a lot of money, think how you can use what you have. A lot of you have time. Time is so valuable, because now I have all these opportunities and all these things I can do. You think it's the best. In a way, it's a gift and a curse. It's a double-edged sword, I promise you that. Because once you get here, you have new problems. You have new problems. And those new problems can be really difficult to deal with. And I know in a way, some of you will get here in your own version of this, and you will look back at old times and you'll be like, man, you will look back on those times, and a part of you will wish for those times. The times where you were you didn't have much, and all you knew was the simplicity of work. You don't have a lot of opportunity, you don't have a lot of network, and now you have it all, and so you have more problems and more stress, and everything is on you. And that, like money and responsibility, money comes with responsibility and opportunity, and it all comes at a certain cost, so be careful what you wish for, because that can also be its own tunnel, its own dark place to deal with once you get there. But there is light at the end of them all. Upgrading your lifestyle. Be very conscious and careful of that. Most of you do not need the new car. Do not get the car. If you're in Melbourne and you earn more than $25 an hour, take Ubers. Frugality drives innovation for me, because I took Ubers and I saved time, and I worked in the back of the Ubers and I made more money. Do the math. It's a big hack. People who live far below their means enjoy a freedom that people busy upgrading their lifestyles can't fathom. If you keep upgrading your lifestyle to match your income, you'll be on this treadmill forever. Naval Ravikant said that. I think he's one of the smartest people that I've ever seen. Because you think upgrading your lifestyle will give you constantly more freedom, but in a way, the person living in Thailand right now on $40,000 a year in a villa, going to the beach every day, surfing once a day, spending 5 hours in a cafe. In a way, could that person be more free than you? Maybe. Making a lot of money, it's not needed for everybody. You can go live in a poor country that actually has a great lifestyle. Africa, Asia, even some Eastern European countries, and you can have a great life. So I would say, just like I did, I didn't raise my standard of living for as long as possible. I really pushed it. I lived at my family's home for a long time, and I do it a lot before I raised my standard of living and moved out. As some of you may have seen from an early email of mine, I did even experiment with doing something called touching my future, as I was inspired by a post that James Smith said. James Smith PT. It's like, touch your future. It's like, see what it really be like. You know, let's say some of you, I love cars, for example. Love cars, right? It's not simply to look good and inspire other people. That's a nice side effect. But it's like, I love the beauty, the sound, the feel, the rush. It's like the mechanics of a car, the physicality of a car. It's like art, mechanical art. And so I touched my future by investing a lot of money into. I didn't lease a car because I couldn't do that because I wasn't going to be here long enough before I left for America. So I rented, and renting was even more expensive. Spent about 10 grand on renting 2 cars in about a 4-week period. I was able to get access to. And so I show you exactly what I did. I went to Prestige Rentals, and you can tell them I sent you if you ever want to rent a car like this. And I looked. I'm like, I want to touch my future. I want to be inspired by creating something that I want to eventually create. You know, I love cars, and that's a way I'd like to upgrade my lifestyle and have that experience later in my life. And so these prices, by the way, they're per day. Okay, so if you want the what is this, an Aventador, $4K. You want the Bentley, $3. I think it's a McLaren. So we keep going. I'm like, man, oh my God, these things are expensive. Right? And I kept going, and I'm like, I tried to find something that was G-Wagon's 1800. I tried to find something. I'm like looking. I'm like, wow, these are beautiful. Right? And I tried to find something. Okay, so what I found was actually they're right here. I'll show you exactly the ones I got. Be completely transparent to showing you guys what I did and what I learned from it. I got the E63 AMG. Okay, as you can see, $1,100 a day. I didn't pay $1,100 a day. I negotiated, and we did a month rental because I don't do month rentals publicly. I negotiated a month rental, and I was able to get the E63, and I was able to get the M3 Competition Sport. Beautiful cars. They drive exceptionally, and I learned a few things. And I'm going to show you a lesson. And so what I learned is that I absolutely love these cars. And you know what? It really put into perspective actually what I didn't like. For example, some of you might look at the Mercedes and be like, wow, that's a great car. Some of you may judge me for, using my money in this way. You're welcome to. That's fine. But this is a conscious decision. I made it with intention, and I don't regret it at all. And it taught me some valuable lessons that I'm going to pass on to you. And it's much better than I think than spending a lot of the money that people do actually spend it on. Alcohol, going out, partying, drugs. Like all of you spend this level of money. You just spend it on other dumb shit. And so before exerting judgment or before allowing someone to exert judgment on you, maybe you should ask them or ask yourself what you've been spending money superfluously on. Because I've never done something like this. I've been very frugal and careful with my money, and I was here. This was intentional. So here's what I learned. One, the cars themselves, I actually realized I didn't actually really love driving the E63. It's a massive car. It's very hard to park. Although it does have auto parking, which is great. It's not that nice, meaning it feels a bit cheap in the inside. And so I realized that, you know how people they save up all this money to buy a car for themselves or lease a car and they've never driven it before? Are you sure you want to get that car or live in that area or buy that house? Why don't you live and test it first? And so one of the principles that I really solidified is test before you buy. Test before you buy. Go on the dates before you get married. Go drive the car and rent the car. You can now go to Turo. See, this is before Turo came out in Australia. Turo is a car sharing marketplace. So if you're ever interested, I know one of my clients who wants to get a Ferrari. I'm like, brother, go drive the Ferrari first. I mean, it's more than that to him, but it's like, see if you even really like it before you drop like 200, 300K on buying a car. So you can just rent these cars and Just like it's like an Airbnb, but for cars. So that's what I would do next time, because these guys were the only ones available that did prestigious rentals. And now you can prestigious rental, someone living in St Kilda with one of their cars. So, and the BMW is ridiculously fast. In fact, so another thing I think is, I don't think people should buy cars like this or use cars like this unless they are experienced drivers and have done like defensive driving courses, or are comfortable with high risk taking. I've done those courses, some of them, and one of them I should say, and I'm comfortable accepting the consequences of driving a car like this, and I'm extremely careful when I do it as well. So don't take these cars lightly. Don't engage in driving them unless you are confident and skilled at the wheel. BMW is not as fast, but is by far a better car. Just a little side note that I learned, but I'll just give you the real crux, and the real crux is, I realized that spending the 10K for the month, it was a good experience. I noticed how people treated me differently. I noticed immediately people treated me differently. That they were curious. I think I observed I maybe demanded a bit more respect from people. And so that was interesting, as you can expect. I think I even noticed some people working with me for business around that time, and who may have also seen me drive that car, meaning they hired me for mentorship, and they could see I was living that life. And of course I could afford it, but I didn't buy the car. So, I didn't get the car to be perceived in that way, but it can be a specific side effect that you may purposely choose to engage with if you want to demand respect, because it's very different. I drove a 15-year-old Holden Astra beat up before that, all right? And yet I had way more money than the people driving better cars than me. And so you don't know it looking at somebody. And so how you are perceived is actually important. That's another thing I learned. How you perceived is very important. And people will judge you off your appearances. And you don't need to stunt. You don't need to be, super extravagant for that purpose. But you should be aware that if you have things like mentorships that show people how to make more money, and you don't walk the walk, and you're not that part, then you may be perceived by some people to be walking a contradiction until they actually get to know you. And if they don't get the chance to get to know you, then they may make their final judgment and never choose to engage with your services or speak to you, because you don't have the respectable suit on. You're not cleanly shaven and have a professional look. You're not wearing the polo. You don't have a respectable car. You have to accept reality that some people you will not earn the respect from people immediately unless you're walking the walk. Just like an obese doctor doesn't get respect from people, nor does a fat trainer. Okay? The same similar thing can be said. I know you don't like to hear it, but a nice car and professionally dressed, you don't need something crazy, but these things people do care about. People will judge you accordingly, and they will make their assessments about your character, and it can open a door. It can just open a door to get people to walk in, to get to know you. Be mindful of that. And conversely, for men, be very careful. Be very careful about stunting this stuff when you're dating, okay? Because there will be a lot of women who will be gravitated towards it, and as a result, you may attract women who have low morality and low character and are simply being attracted to these things. So I'm very mindful about that when I communicate about my money, because I want people at the same time to judge me based off my character first. And so I would probably leave that car at home. I'd take the Ubers. So that's another reason why I stopped doing this. So another reason, and because this is all linked to don't raise your standard of living for as long as possible. The most successful, healthy, wealthy people have a very long time horizon and delay instant gratification. If you know it doesn't cost you much to live, your risk tolerance increases because you don't have other shit to worry about. So when I got this, I'm like, fuck. I have to keep at this level. Actually, make me work harder. I woke up earlier. So that's another thing I learned. It actually pushed me harder. That's another thing people don't talk about. It's like getting these cars and getting these nice things. It's like, for me, I went harder, man. My body was like at a higher stress level, and I was waking up earlier. Like consistently. I think I bought myself an extra 7 hours a week by doing this because my body was like, fuck it, 6 a.m. Let's go, right? Because I realized I had to perform at a high level now. I can't fuck around. Look at if you see where I am, man. If you saw where I am, you're like, I can't fuck around here. Or God or the universe is going to teach me. If that's the lesson they got to teach me, then so be it. But if you put that amount of pressure on yourself, then you have to innovate because you create a pseudo frugality. You create this pressure. You create this stress. And so that can be for some people, they won't respond very well to it. For others, it's like a pressure cooker that helps you cook the rice. Don't stay in there too long though. Don't stay in there too long because, it can overcook you. But at the same time, your tolerance for stress and adaptability and ability to innovate will improve, as it did mine. But by the end of it, you know what I realized? I realized this 10K, this money that I invested, I could just invest in other areas. And that 10K I could invest because let's say I got 10K back then. Let's say I got 10K to reinvest. Okay, let's say you got a couple grand, whatever the case may be. Well, you could spend that on XYZ, or you can reinvest it into other funnels that can make you more money. And then when you do that over and over again enough, suddenly $10,000 a month on a car or $200 a week on food, it's nothing to you because you've actually invested in things that make you more ROI and money. Is because the car didn't make me more money, and the only way it did was because it actually helped me work harder, but it wasn't as tangible. And so I made an assessment of time and money, and I'm like, I can invest this elsewhere. This is a good experience, but this experience is not worth sustaining. Number 2, time. I realized something. Ubers. I don't even need to drive. Why am I even driving? So I questioned the whole system, and I'm like, why are we even driving? If you live in a city other than Sydney, Ubers in Sydney are ridiculous expensive. So if you live, unless you're making at least $60, $70, $80 an hour, then you could make it work. But if not, then Ubers in Sydney, just take public transport. If you're in any other city, public transport and Ubers, take them instead of driving. You're going to spend so much excess money on driving, on cars, on repairs. Just do the math. Do the fuel. Do the repayments. Fucking repayments. Get rid of your repayments, right? You don't need a car if you're 20 years old, 21 years old, or 25 years old. You don't need a nice car. Get rid of it. Sell it. Play a long game. If you actually want to create a good lifestyle for yourself, no one gives a fuck that you're driving a $50,000 car. It's not a Mercedes. It's not a Ferrari. It's not a BMW. It doesn't go vroom vroom. It's unimpressive to even people who don't have money. Yes, it makes you feel good, but it's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. You could be investing that elsewhere, and you could be spending the time driving, actually innovating, working, and being productive. This is the hack. This is the massive hack. And I realized this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm actually so glad that I did this experience because it made me realize how much time I was wasting driving. I don't even drive that much. I drove like half an hour to 40 minutes most days. Still, we'll do the math. That's like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a week. Some of you are doing much longer commutes. Okay, maybe you can't take an Uber for 2 hours up and back. Okay, fair enough. How about the train? How about the Uber to the station and then the train? How about you drive your car for the time being to the station and then you take a train and then you work on the train? Like, figure it out or talk to me, right? 90% of you do not need a car. For most of you, a car is an expense, not an investment. It's the fuel, it's the repayments, it's the services, it's when you have to replace all the 4 tires. What about the timing belt? Oh, then the engine's going to get replaced, and then you get in a car accident, and you have insurances, and you have all these superfluous excess shit that you have to pay for. Get rid of it. It's a waste of your money. And then when you make a respectable amount of money, over $100,000-$200,000, then maybe consider getting a car. Maybe you have a family. Okay, maybe your family, understand. Okay, it's a different scenario. But for the love of God, I can't emphasize how much of it's a game changer. And I'll tell you how rich people buy nice things and how you should too. This is, you know what? Actually, hold on. I'm going to show you this in the next video. The next video, how rich people buy nice things. I've been sitting here for like 2 hours, by the way, guys, recording videos. I'm not going to stop till I get all these done. I'll sit here for 4 hours if I have to. Let's go. I want to help you oh man, get unstuck. I'm very passionate about it. Very passionate about getting people unstuck from their own financial insecurity. Perhaps it's where I should spend more of my time and my career. And if I haven't already, I may be launching a $10 a week USD membership that gives constant access to these things. So we're going to see whether that's going to be viable and workable in the near future as an outlet for more of this stuff. But stay tuned. How rich people buy nice things and how you should too. In the next video, make sure you watch it. Watch these videos as you eat, in the commute. Be smart about these things.